Welcome to this episode of our AWS YouTube series. Today, we dive deep into the security domain of AWS, the essential foundation for protecting your cloud resources and ensuring compliance with organizational and regulatory requirements. Security on AWS is not just an afterthought, it's built into every layer of the AWS infrastructure. In this video, we'll break down the key AWS security services, grouped logically, with clear explanations and real-world examples to help you understand how to use them effectively. Let's begin with Identity and Access Management Services. First up is AWS Identity and Access Management, or IAM. IAM lets you create and manage users, groups, and roles and control access to AWS services and resources securely. With IAM, you can apply fine-grained permissions using IAM policies to enforce the principle of least privilege. For example, you might give a developer access to just the S3 buckets needed for the application and nothing else. IAM also supports multi-factor authentication, or MFA, for an additional security layer. Next is AWS Organizations, which helps you centrally manage billing and apply service control policies, or SCP, to multiple AWS accounts in your organization. This is especially important for large enterprises that use multiple AWS accounts for different business units or environments. Moving on to authentication and single sign-on services. AWS Single Sign-On, or AWS SSO, simplifies managing SSO access to multiple AWS accounts and third-party applications. You can integrate AWS SSO with your corporate directory like Microsoft Active Directory to streamline employee access. AWS Cognito provides user sign-up, sign-in, and access control for web and mobile applications. For example, if you build a customer-facing web app, you can use Cognito to authenticate users with social providers like Google or Facebook, or with your own identity provider. Next, let's talk about network security services. AWS Virtual Private Cloud, or VPC, lets you isolate your AWS resources in a virtual network you define. Within a VPC, you can set up security groups and network ACLs to control inbound and outbound traffic to your resources. For instance, you might restrict SSH access to EC2 instances so only your corporate IP addresses are allowed. AWS Web Application Firewall, or AWS WAF, helps protect your web applications from common attacks like SQL injection and cross-site scripting. You can deploy WAF on Amazon CloudFront or Application Load Balancer to inspect HTTP and HTTPS requests. For example, an e-commerce website can use AWS WAF to block malicious requests and allow only legitimate customer traffic. AWS Shield provides managed distributed denial of service, or DDoS, protection. AWS Shield standard is automatically included at no cost to protect all AWS customers from the most common types of DDoS attacks. For enhanced protection, AWS Shield Advanced offers additional detection, mitigation, and 24/7 support. For instance, a financial services company hosting a trading platform could use Shield Advanced to minimize downtime during a large-scale DDoS attack. Now, let's move to data protection and encryption services. AWS Key Management Service, or KMS, makes it easy to create and control cryptographic keys used to encrypt your data across AWS services and in your applications. For example, you can use KMS Managed Customer Master Keys to encrypt objects in S3, databases in RDS, and even your EBS volumes. AWS Secret Manager helps you securely store, rotate, and retrieve secrets such as database credential, API keys, and other sensitive information. A real-world example is using Secrets Manager to provide database passwords to a Lambda function without hard-coding them in your code. AWS Certificate Manager, or ACM, lets you provision, manage, and deploy SSL and TLS certificates to secure your website and application. For instance, you can get a free ACM certificate for your site behind an application load balancer, ensuring encrypted HTTPS connections for your users. Next, let's explore monitoring and compliance services. AWS CloudTrail records API calls made in your AWS account. This includes actions taken through the AWS Management Console, SDKs, command line tools, and other services. CloudTrail logs help with security analysis, resource change tracking, and compliance auditing. For example, if an unauthorized user modifies an S3 bucket policy, CloudTrail logs will provide the details you need to investigate. AWS Config continuously monitors and records AWS resource configurations and allows you to automate compliance checking with rules. You can detect drift from best practices, like checking whether all your S3 buckets are encrypted. Amazon Guard Duty is a threat detection service that uses machine learning and AWS threat intelligence to identify suspicious activity in your AWS environment. For example, It can alert you if an EC2 instance starts communicating with a known malware domain. AWS Security Hub provides a comprehensive view of your security posture by aggregating findings from services like GuardDuty, Inspector, Maci, and third-party tools. Security Hub also offers automated compliance checks using standards like CIS AWS Foundation's benchmark. Amazon Maci uses machine learning to automatically discover, classify, and protect sensitive data like personally identifiable information or PII in your S3 bucket. For example, Maci can identify S3 objects containing credit card numbers or social security numbers, so you can apply the right protection. Finally, AWS Inspector is an automated vulnerability management service that scans your EC2 instances and container images for known vulnerabilities and unintended network exposure. This helps you remediate security issues proactively before they are exploited. And there you have it, the most important AWS security services, explained with clear examples and organized by purpose. Remember, security in the cloud is a shared responsibility between AWS and you, the customer. Using these AWS services can help you meet your side of the shared responsibility model and build secure, compliant, and resilient cloud architectures. Thank you for watching this episode on the AWS Security Domain. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future episodes. See you next time.